So I ended up calling 911, a medical bill from Fairview, and lo and behold, it was $3,500.
We were
Which is
Welcome to the very first episode of Jetspray To Toiletpaper. This is an odd podcast where four young kids living in different countries share their experiences. Now, we are pursuing very different fields of education, and we hope that this podcast will be able to help you if you are someone who's looking to seek education abroad or just want to understand how the life of a student living abroad is. So I'm Ranveer Singh Ranawat. I'm pursuing a BTech in CSAI and ML in Mumbai at Atlas Skill Tech University. And I enjoy doing weird stuff such as this podcast. Moving on.
calling it weird, man. It's not that weird or
It's
all.
not weird, okay, guys. Only we can say that.
Already ostracized people.
uh,
Who's next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Hi guys, I'm Danish. I'm pursuing medicine in China. Looking forward to where this podcast takes us.
Before that, Danish is in Hangzhou, right, in China.
Evo.
He's in Evo in Zhejiang University. Now, I hope no one will stalk you if we mention your exact university. Hopefully not.
इतने भी फेमस नहीं.
He is sick.
Maybe we are not 100% sure, but yes, moving on.
Uh,
Up next.
you go.
Okay.
Ladies
Hi.
first.
My name is Hitvi. I am a freshman at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. Um, when everyone kept mentioning the majors, I felt a bit of FOMO because my major is much like this podcast, undecided. Um, Either way, I'll let you guys know when I have a secure major and one that makes bank. But for now, I don't know. But yeah, I like Starbucks and Bath and Body Works. I feel like I need to punctuate every introduction with that fact, and that's that. Thank you.
Yeah, it is not trying to stereotype any of the girls over here. Although,
No way, I'm not stereotyping anyone.
Wait, you
If
forgot.
anyone wants to chat about any of those things, slide into my email because I don't have
all,
any.
although, I'm glad that you mentioned that your major is still undecided, just like this podcast. Well, our podcast is not that undecided, but we hope to bring our very natural student lives in front of you, keep it very transparent. So anyone who's watching this can take away whatever they want to take away and learn from this journey of ours.
Yeah.
Now we have
Uh,
Yash.
oh yeah. Hi, I'm Yash. I am also a freshman at the University of Minnesota, and I am pursuing a bachelor's degree in computer engineering. But let's see. And one thing you should know about me is I have a microwave. That's all you should know about me. I have a microwave.
It's a privilege to have a microwave in your room.
Yeah.
Another interesting fact, his complete name is Yash Vardhan Panchal.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, disclaimer. My complete name is Yash
I
That's
Vardhan
his
you
Panchal.
were just exposed.
that's his legal name.
Legal name
But for
on
some
passport,
reason,
yeah.
everyone in school, university, wherever, just calls him Yash. He goes by
It's a
Yash.
bit of a mouthful to be like, Yashwardhan, come here.
Yeah.
We'll definitely keep adding to our introductions over the course of this podcast. Although today's topic is an interesting one, we are discussing healthcare for students in countries abroad, specifically US and China, for this episode. And I'll let the interesting experiences speak for themselves because this is not an explainer video of what you should do, which doctor you should consult, or anything of the sort.
No
but it's completely raw and whatever actually happened to our panelists. So I
panels.
guess
Host.
I guess we'll start with Yash and Hethi. We'll start with Yash. We'll go in
Okay, yeah.
chronological order of the
Yeah,
diseases that
chronological
attack.
order.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Go for it.
Okay, so 1 week into the US, uh, August 10th, I had bacteria. Okay, it was supposed to be a bacterial infection. I still don't know what it is. Yeah, it was supposed to be a bacterial infection. I still don't know what it is. But yeah, I think I can find out by the labs. Anyway, so I had a huge swollen lip. I think we can have a photo up here. But I had a
Yeah.
huge swollen lip, and when I say swollen, it was swollen. It was 3 times this lip. So.
It was
Yeah.
scary. I
Yeah, it
I
was
saw him on
scary.
video call. I could barely see my screen.
Yeah, it was scary. It was not just them. The doctor that saw me was scared too. So, yes, yeah, 1 week into the US, I had a bacterial infection. It was bad. It was bad to the point where I had to go to the emergency room. And the doctor or the I don't know. I think he was a PA who saw me was scared too.
What is a PA before going further? What is a
Even
PA?
okay, I think you can tell us. I don't know.
I think, if Danish can correct me if I'm wrong, but PA in the medical industry stands for personal assistant or something of the sort. Let me
Okay.
double check that. They're not exactly doctors, but they are people
They
who
are
assist you.
assistants.
We'll
Exactly.
we'll have something. We'll
Yeah,
give a
it just
concrete definition of a PA
Yeah, something.
on the screen. Carry on, Yash.
Yeah, so okay,
Sharing the
okay.
PAs in US. Then
Yeah, okay, wait. I think I got too ahead. I think initially I went to a doctor, I just dropped in and just give me antibiotic and they're like, okay, we can't operate here.
let's hold on there. No, Boynton Health in St. Paul is great. It is good, but at the
Okay.
same time, he needed immediate care, which they did not offer. We had to go to East Bank.
Yeah, so I went to a doctor on the East Bank and he said he'll have to transfer me to the emergency care because they'll have better tools and they can operate you there. So I was transferred from one building to the another without leaving the building in a wheelchair, even though I could walk. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I was transferred to the emergency care and uh, I was first asked to wait and then I was seen by a doctor first and he asked me to wait outside again and I was waiting out and then I was again seen by a PA and this time he said okay and then yeah okay so I was wearing a mask I don't think I have a photo but I was wearing a mask when I went to the hospital and so when I went and they was like okay what's the issue and I just took off my dress he's like oh yeah so
the
it
shoulder
was a
pressure.
shocking moment in his career anyway uh yeah so that's then then I had 2 layers of numbing he had to numb me twice to operate on this because it was paining bad so they had to numb
How
me
did they
twice
numb you though? And
uh
before carrying out that sort of a procedure, do they like make you sign something or maybe inform
oh
your
yeah okay
parents? Some sort
so
of undertaking.
oh okay it's like oh every time you go to the hospital you have to go to the reception you have to first check in like there's something called checking in you have to go and check in if you go to the emergency care you have to if I'm not wrong that's what happened you have to go and you have to check in you have to have your name your student ID if you have one, if you have insurance, address, and things like that. Maybe if you're already registered, you don't need to like say all that again, but you need to give your name to check in. And then if you're at the emergency care, like uh, then you'll probably have to wait outside till they call you because emergency rooms vary a lot because I think it depends on the priority of how serious the patient is. So if someone else is having a heart attack or a very critical condition, they'll treat them before they treat you. So your
Mhm.
waiting period kind of depends on how you are feeling and how others waiting with you are feeling. So it can be a long waiting period or it can be a short one.
Yeah, we,
Depends.
we don't have first come first serve over here, for better for worse.
Yeah, so it's not even like, yeah, it's exactly, it's not even first come first service. If someone after me comes, but they're having they're having something really critical, they'll be treated right away. Yeah, but yeah, so we have to wait we have to wait some time outside, and then I was called in. I was first checked by the doctor, so he asked me to go outside. He thought I could wait some time, so I was waiting outside. Then I was seen by the PA, great doctor though, and he had to numb me twice. Okay, so how the numbing went was, I was first sitting. They first made me sit in a hall in a chair, and then they applied. I think it was some sort of gel. I don't know what exactly they did, but it was some sort of gel they applied, and yeah, it just asked me to like hold the cotton on it for some time. And then after some time, okay, so he said like, I can't operate you. You have to take it in a room. So in emergency care, if you go to a room, that's like a big deal because like, I mean, it's not a big deal. Like basically, they don't take you to the room unless it's like required. So I was taken to a room, and then I was injected okay, first they numbed me so they could inject me with the real anesthesia, if that makes sense. They numbed the outer layer, then they then injected me with the another anesthesia that was internal to numb me inside as well. And then they had to drain out the blood and the pus from my lip. So it
Okay.
would basically all that was collected, it would come out, and the swelling would reduce eventually. So
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, sorry to interrupt, but a strong narrative over there, how the entire procedure started and what happened. Let's talk about how you felt in a different country for the very first time. Okay, not the first time in US, but still living on your own, and you have a bacterial infection. How did the entire feeling? What was it? What was it thought process like? You did not have any of your family members with you.
Yeah, I mean, just okay, something similar had already happened to me like 2 months ago in India. It was on a different part of me. It was around the chin. It was something very similar. So I was aware what's happening to me, but then it was very different because it was near the lip, and I had gotten to a point where I could not. Yeah, it was difficult to speak or eat. So that was one other thing. And I mean, yeah, even though, okay, even though I did not have, like, it was not exactly my home country, the doctors, the medical care here, they're very well trained, and they're very considerate, and they take care of you in a good way. They make sure things are in place. If you have any concerns, you can tell them, then they'll bring you anything. Even for my insurance, I did not have my insurance card at the time, and so the doctor itself that saw me, the primary care doctor that was seen before going to the emergency care, went to the insurance office himself in the building to make sure I was covered. So they take care of you pretty well, and they are very nice. So,
I
yeah,
mean, speaking
as
of insurance, Hiti, what is the insurance like? How much did you pay for? How much did you guys pay for insurance upfront?
Actually, you don't have to pay in terms of fixed cost when you are seen, but at the same time, because we are international students, and I'm not sure if this applies only to international students, but we were required to pay approximately $3,500 as a part of this mandatory insurance fee, and that essentially covers you completely. So if anything happens to you at any point, you have Medicare that's worth $3,500. That's essentially how it works.
So that's $3,500 for a complete year, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think so. It's more than just a year. I believe it's all 4 years, but I could be wrong on that. Let's fact check ourselves before we claim that. But I do think that it's a good amount of coverage, especially for international students, because more likely than not, you will run into a medical situation. And if not just medical, it also covers things like dental care, things like mental health, things like therapy, counseling. So, those are resources most people avail for themselves, and that usually ends up costing you a lot if you don't have insurance. And the nice thing is that you do, and so you can access all of those resources without having to necessarily worry about the bills and things like that.
Okay, so the cost $3,500 is more same for Yash and Hetvi. I mean, they go to the same university. What about you, Danish? तेरे यहाँ पे इंश्योरेंस कॉस्ट वगैरह कैसा क्या?
Well, if you want to study in China, insurance is compulsory. Minimum insurance is of 800 yuan that our university offers. Like different university have different offers. So our university had 800 yuan, which is about 9,000 rupees, somewhere around that, for the entire year. But then the insurance doesn't cover like everything. You will have to pay the doctor, but then it's a discounted rate comparative to what you actually have to pay. Like there was this one student. He did not eat anything or something. He had a headache. Okay, so then he left to the doctor's place. Doctor stopped him. Everything checkup, everything happened. For that simple headache, for some reason, the doctor decided to take a CT scan. For some reason, then turns up nothing happened. Obviously, because he had just not eaten. And then for all of that, he had to pay 600 yuan, which is about 6,500, 7,000 rupees. But then luckily he had insurance, so then he got a discounted rate. I don't know as to how much the rate was, but then yes, it helps a lot.
Not eating costs money. CT scan for a simple headache. Who would have thought? And then, alongside Yash's bacterial infection, another very thrilling thing which happened to Hetvi. We let Hetvi take it away.
Oh,
Yes, thank you. So while Yash was dealing with that, um, I had my own little medical um, fiasco brewing. Um, when I came to the US, I started my period, and so I just assumed that I'm having like the worst cramps in the world because the walls of my stomach were like pounding. I was tossing and turning in my sleep. I was just clutching my gut in pain. It was really bad. Like I had bad, bad, bad stomach pain. But because I was on my period, I assumed that these are just very bad cramps. They were not cramps. Then, a few days later, when I was done and I still had bad pain, abdominal pain, I thought to myself, these are not cramps. There is something really seriously wrong. And obviously, because I let this situation just marinate and sit, it had gotten progressively worse. So the pain had gotten significantly worse. I was feeling a lot worse. I wasn't able to walk. I was beginning to lose my appetite to the point where I stopped eating entirely because I would just completely regurgitate everything I ate. One night where it got so bad was actually when I was on a video call with Ranveer alongside Yash. And we were talking, and towards the end of the video call, I just had the worst pain in the world, and I was like, okay, I have to go. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it was right in front of me. He was just roaming, running around, and I'm having stomach pains. I'm having stomach pains. I
Yeah,
was
no,
pretty confused. I thought it just happened because she didn't eat much. I wasn't aware of the situation.
neither was I, to be fair. And so I was just like in horrid pain, confused, very scared, and my natural instinct is to be like, my organs are failing or something of the sort. So I did not know what was going on, but I had an inkling thinking that, oh, maybe it could be this or that, but I didn't pay too much attention. That night I ended up puking 3 times, maybe more. I ended up puking a lot and I hadn't even eaten. So that's how I knew the situation was really out of hand. And this pain had been going on for a few days. So that very morning, when I decided, okay, I can't even go to class, and I was rotting in bed, I realized this is too much. So I ended up calling 911, who then, by the way, 911 in the US, it's amazing. I had to make one phone call. They asked for minimal information. It was approximately 45 seconds. And 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes later, they were at my door. And so there was a team of paramedics. They did basic checkups. They took my blood pressure, heart rate, blah blah. And one of the paramedics, who seemed to be a seasoned kidney stone haver, um, took a look at me and was like, "The way you're presenting, you have a kidney stone." And I thought at first he was enjoying the fact that I had a kidney stone just so that he can look like this cool movie character and be like, "Yeah, you have a kidney stone." But then as I spoke to him, he asked me more questions where he was like, "Oh, do you have family history with kidney stone?" And sure enough, my mom had been operated for a kidney stone not even a month ago. So it kind of made sense. It was full circle, but at the same time, it didn't help at all, because that just means that I have something bigger to deal with. And then he
I
said,
mean,
"Yeah."
does the family history translate to your another person in the family having a kidney stone?
I don't think it has anything to do with the genetics necessarily, but I think he asked because maybe it's because it's in my immediate family. Our bodies tend to have similar tendencies and propensities. So if your mom, suppose, is sensitive to a certain thing, likelihood is because you are very closely related to them, you might have a tendency to sensitivity to the same thing. That's just a postulation. It's not actually a medical basis for diagnosis, I assume. But he seemed to be very seasoned in this genre of medical catastrophes. So he was just,
His moment hadn't come finally.
yeah, I felt like, I mean, he kind of leaned on my door and was like, "Yeah, you have a kidney stone." And I was like, how do I help the pain? He's like, "Oh, it gets worse." And I'm like, "Sure enough."
That helps.
And well, yeah, but no, they were really nice. They were very calm. They helped me understand the procedures very well. They told me what were my options, and I understood. And the team was incredible. That was awesome. Shout out to whoever they were. I don't know their names, but yeah, that was great. And then I busted my ass. I hauled my ass to East Bank, the emergency care, and straight away they took a look at.
Before going further, you said the paramedics showed up to your door. So that must be your room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your roommate's reaction? Oh,
So
what
my
happened?
roommate was not there. So
She wasn't.
yeah, no. So basically, my roommate had gone home for the weekend, because that's what usually people do, and it was a weekend. And that it was like a Friday or Saturday morning. I'm not sure, but I think it was a Friday morning, maybe not. Anyway, my roommate was not there, and she had gone home. So I was all alone, which was nice. I guess she didn't have to deal with that, and also because I was just like belching in pain all night, and nobody wants to deal with that. But
Okay,
um,
then I'll extend the same question to you. How did you feel all alone in US? Of course, you guys had Yash and you know each other, friends there, but still no family. And you find out that you have a kidney stone.
yeah, no, it was exactly as it sounds, as you bluntly you put it. It was abrasive. It was overwhelming. It was scary because there was just my mind was just rushed with thoughts. A, because when you are dealing with something medical, that that's always a scary territory. Like, you don't know what's going on in your body. That in and of itself was extremely terrifying. But then on top of that, breaking it to my parents, who were completely just taken aback by this news and were distressed back home 18 hours away from me in a different time zone. On top of that, I had to do all of these procedures. I was in a unsurmountable pain. And so I actually had, like, I broke down crying in the ER, because I was like, this is not fun. This is not what my third or second week in the US should look like, or whatever. But I it eventually got better once I was on medication and things like that. But yeah, it was not fun. It was extremely distressing.
Yeah, right after that video call, I remember that after that video call ended where HP was completely in pain. I believe I called him the next morning, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Or I didn't even call them. I actually get a picture of Yash and Hetri sitting in the hospital with some kind of tube running inside Hetri's elbow or her arm.
So yeah.
And Yash's lips were still swollen. So it was a
Yeah,
complete
that picture.
disaster, and I was just puzzled as to what was going on with these guys. And it was only the second week, not even the second week in US.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. That
Yep.
happened.
Fun,
I
fun times,
also
Yeah.
fun
have an
times.
interesting story regarding kidney stone. So basically, what happened was when you come into China, you have to go through a physical examination. It's pretty thorough, the examination. So then, what happened was that first we have a normal blood checkup, eye checkup, everything. Towards the end, we have a sort of CT scan, and then the last test is a urination test, sort of. Then everyone pretty much urinated quite easily. But then there was this one student, some reason he was 5 minutes in that stall, nothing, still in that stall. And then after that, the teacher he asked us, go check what happened. Then we like, what will we do? But then still we went, because we're boys. Anyways, then we went. Then we knocked on his door. He's like, "Bhai, kya hua?" He's from Indian origin, so then he knows Hindi. So then we're
Yeah,
like,
he,
"Bhai,
he
kya hua?"
knows, he understands our concern for him when we say bhai kya hua.
So then,
Totally normal thing to do when you're in the washroom.
and
We are
then
not
he's like,
judging him by any means. It could have happened for any reason.
Could
Happens
happen
to
to
the
and then
best.
anyone.
he's like, "Bhai, nahi ho raha hai." And then that means like he can't do it. And then after that, we called him out. He said, "Okay, come on, come on, come on." And he came out. We had this small cup sort of that we had to pee into. And then he said, "Okay, okay." Then we made him drink like around 2, 3 glasses of water, and then he went back in. Try again. Did not happen. And then after that, we started cheering from behind. Go, go, come on, come on. And then after that, finally, he comes out all sweaty. Ah, bhai, ho gaya. Then he gives his cup, and then we finally leave. Like we were waiting for him for I guess 15, 20 minutes to finish. And then after that, we finally got the chance to leave. Then once we left, everything was okay. Around a week later, what happens? He starts to feel this pain in his back, and then slowly, like it's nothing. Initially, he was sleeping, aram se ekdam. And then after that, after some time, the pain started, increasing, and he's feeling it even more. And by around 2, 3 a.m., he's on the floor in more pain. And then after that, he's like, okay, I can't do shit now. I have to go. Then the best idea that came to his mind at 3 a.m. in the morning was, I'll walk to the hospital. Then he opened the door and he started walking. Somehow he reached downstairs and then he ran a little and then he sat down and then he's used his brain a little more. He said, I can book a taxi. See, these are things that help. And then he booked a taxi. Taxi came, picked him up, went to the hospital. In the hospital, did their checkup and everything, had a scan and all. And then turns out he also had kidney stone. No, that's why the difficulties. But
Oh, I heard the very first part of the story. I didn't know this guy had kidney stones as well.
yes, we just got to know this happened recently. Then after that, he's in shock. He's like, now what are my options? Doctor tells him you have two options. Either there's this sachet that you have to drink from or operation. Then he said, I'm not operating. Then the doctor said, okay, then take the sachet. One day when you'll pee, the stone will come out. That'll be really painful, but then it's one day. And he's like, okay, okay.
Did the day come?
no,
वो दिन आया क्या अभी तक?
no. How will I get to know? Someday when he'll tell me.
Stop. Okay, how big is the stone? Do you know?
Well, according to me, it's pretty big because he told me 8 millimeter, which I don't
Okay.
feel is right. 8 millimeter does not seem right.
That's
But I'm not
huge.
sure.
That's like
But
double.
I
he
have
himself,
heard.
but then I'm not sure if that's right because 8 millimeter is like no, not good.
Yeah. And we might be laughing, or let's say we might be smiling at this story right now, but we totally empathize with Danish's friend. And just so the viewers know, it's not a good idea to cheer for your friend just so that they could be in the stall. Maybe there are better ways. Like giving them some time would help. I would think so.
Wait,
Uh,
I have a question. Wait, why would
hmm.
he walk to the hospital? Like, are there no bus options or something like that?
At 3 a.m. in the morning, there are no
Oh, it was
buses.
3 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
okay.
and I'm
He
sure
was
he
in so
panicked.
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then he just left. He did not call anyone, no roommate, nothing. Next morning, we get to know that this happened to him, and I went to meet him. Long
Oh,
story.
okay. That's scary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I guess
seems like
that. Yeah.
bad.
And that is where your roommates or your just friends come into picture. Like, you should try to get all the support you can and just ease the situation for yourself as much as possible. Interestingly enough, Yash has a double occupancy room. Like this room is
Oh,
supposed to be shared
wait.
by two
Yeah,
people.
sorry to stop. It's not double occupancy. It's quadruple occupancy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, four people are supposed to live in this group slash apartment that I'm living in. It's not an apartment, it's a dorm room, but it's a four-person suite, but no one showed up. So eventually I'm just living here on my own.
Yeah,
So
one person taking charge of the entire room.
which is pretty nice. It is pretty it's nice. It's empty. I have a lot of space.
Empty and a lot of space. I mean, since we're on the topic, uh, let's discuss your mental situation as well. It's still somewhat relevant to a certain degree. How does it feel to uh, s- be in a new country? Reiterate myself again. So, being in a new country without your family, how's that entire feeling like? And before you guys begin with your answer, I am still in India. I'm back home. I did not go to US or any other country. So this in this conversation, I have nothing much to add. My university or my college is completely like uh, I don't live on campus or anything of the sort. So I commute every day. But yeah, take it away. Anyone who wants to go first. Mental health, mental situation.
I mean, if we talk
Well,
about if we talk, if we talk about mental health and like yeah, the physical pain you have it also translated to mental health. So like they try to ease the like physical pain a lot of times. And yeah, so again, I don't know if a
What do you
pain
mean by physical pain? Well, let's clarify that. It sounds very odd when you just mention physical pain without
no
any
like
context.
any sort of pain if you have a bacterial infection on your lip or your kidney stone
Okay.
or any sort of physical pain, any physical difficulties you're having. So okay, I don't know if a pain was that intense or critical. It was pretty bad, but I don't know if it was at a point that I was given I was prescribed opiates by the doctor to
Yeah,
ease the
Yash was
pain.
drugged first
Okay,
week in the US, and this guy already started drugs.
it's not drug, it's prescribed by the doctor. It's
Prescribed drugs,
I
he
have
calls it.
I have medical proof, and I was told by the doctor to take it if the pain gets really bad. But yeah, so yeah, that helps with the pain and makes you okay. Disclaimer: I took the opioids and it felt amazing. It felt a lot better. The
Yeah,
pain instantly vanished.
I
Yeah.
start the topic of mental health, and he eventually reaches to drugs and
It's
opioids.
not drugs. It's a way to. It's painkillers. It's essentially painkillers.
Pain.
That's all it
Yeah,
is.
but we do not endorse any sort of drugs on this channel. So another disclaimer over there.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know what else to add. But yeah, I think you can tell them like the resources we have at the university for mental health and things like that.
No, yeah, it's bad. Like, it feels horrid. I can't tell you how many mental breakdowns or just these spirals into like, hey, I miss home, I miss my family. Especially, I was an only child. I am an only child, and I'm very close with my parents, and it's a very sudden, jarring, radical shift from that just being in a new country. I've never been outside of India. This is my first time just outside India, being away from my parents for this long, and that all is a very new experience. And obviously, when these kinds of things happen, it adds a lot of nuance and complexity to an already difficult and exhausting and mentally tiring transition. But honestly, the people here, the friends I made, Alex, Brooke, they were my CAs, and just everyone is very
What a
well.
C is before, just to
What are CAs? CAs
yeah.
are basically community advisors. Most schools call them RAs. But yeah, they're basically people who are essentially assigned to supervise and assist and lead a set of residents, and they're basically people that you can reach out to if you have any questions, anything that happens to you. And my CAs were absolutely amazing. They became friends with me. I became friends with them. I made other friends, and they were all so accommodating, helpful, empathetic. And it was that sentiment is applicable to everyone that I ran into through the course of this kidney stone fiasco. And maybe it's just Minnesota nice. But in the end, I feel like that sense of defeatedness, that sense of tired, that sense of hopelessness does subside if you do get the proper help and resources. If that means for you talking to friends, being alone, taking a nap, or reaching out to mental health resources like therapists and counselors who are available to you on campus, at least they are here at the U of M, that does really help you, and that does help you kind of deal with the situation and get new perspective and take yourself out of that hyper focused state that makes you feel worse. So, yeah.
What about you, Danish?
Me,
Okay,
well,
so yeah, I'll give some context over here. Danish's father lives in China as well, an hour away, hour or two away by train or something. So not entirely completely alone in China, but of course it's a drastic shift for him as well. Yeah.
yeah, well, my father does live 2 hours away from here. So then it was pretty easy to adjust. I already knew the language to a certain extent. So yeah, it was not much of a drastic change. I already lived here before, so I sort of know the culture and all. Not as big as a change of as like Yash and Hetvi faced. But then yeah, I personally speaking, like I don't think I faced much issues like that.
Danish was pretty comfortable, and that's what I meant by we'll keep introducing ourselves as we go along with this podcast. So, like Danish spent a good amount of time in China growing up. He used to live in China, then shifted to India, and then went back to China for his higher education. And I mean, mental health is directly not related in the same context as you guys, but even for me, like coming to university, it's quite a change when compared to going from a school to university. To give you an idea, in my 12th grade A
Bro,
levels,
the
yeah,
local you use every day is pretty traumatizing. Anyways, you should.
yeah, Virar fast at 6:37 or after 7 a.m. is traumatizing for someone who never
Free
traveled.
massage, free massage.
Not even you have old grumpy uncles doing
Free massage.
venting their anger at you. Anyway,
You want sauna? If sauna's for free, all sweat.
that's steam, that's hygienic. The sweat, oh yeah, that doesn't compare.
You
But
go
yeah,
in dry, you come out all wet.
oh, okay, yeah. Mm.
It's night time for Danish, by the way, so just context out there.
Oh, okay, we are not recording an after dark session of this episode. Guys, pull yourselves together. So yeah, I was see even for me it was quite a different thing. I found it a little challenging to adjust at first, of course. Moving from a class of 12 people in my 12th grade to a class of 60 students. I hardly knew anyone. And also sort of an introvert, a timid person. So,
She just denied
not
it
with you
straight
guys, of
up.
course, but
She's like,
yeah,
nope, not happening.
I hate to completely deny that, but yeah. And mental health, of course, is relevant in today's time for everyone. But you should, I would say, if what I think is people should prioritize it at least in the beginning because you guys are not returning home for a long while. So I guess Yash and Hetvi will return. Their first semester started in August and okay, September, first week of September, something like that, 2023, and they will return to India in May or June of 2024, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I think
So
that's how.
yeah, so they're spending almost a year away from their families. So taking care of your mental situation is something anyone going abroad should think about. And I believe that's the same case for Danish as well. He's not returning to India until the next year because obviously these guys
Right.
have the studies, even they do have the winter break, but it's quite expensive for a complete round trip going back and forth.
Yeah.
Speaking of expensive, Yash got a hefty bill for his antibacterial infection.
Wait, I got a heftier
Yeah, we
bill.
have something new for you. Go on, go on.
I got a heftier bill. So, what a funny thing. I began working in the US, and every so often you check your mail. So, naturally, I strutted up to the mailroom and was like, what's in there for me? I look, and there's three envelopes, right? And I am like, okay, what the hell is going on? So, one of them says Fairview, and one of them was a tinier card. So, I assumed it was a bill statement and an insurance card, which I was right about. But the other one was kind of new. I opened it and I saw, and it was my first paycheck, and I was like, wow. And it was
How
happy,
big was her paycheck?
not big at all. So I began working, and my first paycheck was only about $122, and that was for the 8 hours that I worked in my first week. So
Okay, for
fine.
some context, what kind of work are you doing in the US?
I'm working as an OA, an office assistant. So most universities here have a lot of on-campus jobs that you can make use of, apply to. And for me, I am working as the front desk assistant at my residential hall, Bailey Hall, which is amazing. Yeah, you can do a lot of jobs. That's what I decided to do for a multitude of reasons. A, because of the convenience. B, because I want to get involved with HRL, since HRL is um someone that I want to, basically a group of individuals I want to work with even in the future. And also it pays well, decently well. So I did get my paycheck, and then right next to that was a medical bill from Fairview, and lo and behold, it was $3,500.
Wait, wait,
Which is,
I thought it was $7,000.
oh yeah, that was before
Oh, that's the
they,
original bill. Yeah, that's the
Before the
original.
insurance?
yeah, no, not before insurance,
Okay.
before the dues. And then it was $3,000. And I thought, A, I'll have to file for bankruptcy, or B, I am just gonna have to pick myself up and leave to go home. So apparently it's all covered, it's fine, but it's still such a weird thing that you get your first paycheck of $122, and then you have a medical bill that makes you want to think about bankruptcy. Anyway, so that's what happened. But yeah, I think the way you put it was very true. The way that you said juggling, it feels like juggling two lives essentially, back home, whatever people we have and the family, and then living here. And obviously that creates a different type of conflict, presents a
Hmm.
different situation, and that obviously adds to all of that. So yeah.
And your bill was 3,500 before the insurance covered it or after?
After, before it was like $7,000. So
So you had to pay 3,500 more.
no, I don't have to pay 3,500 more at all. That is covered by insurance. But
Okay.
that's something that happened. It's just insane to think about. Even I don't.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I mean, I went to the orientation, and when they mentioned the breakdown of their tuition alongside insurance and other expenses, I sort of thought to myself, I mean, who would normally use insurance? I mean, how much would you make use of it? But clearly,
yeah,
with these guys in their first 2 weeks, they blew out their insurance.
yeah, it is pretty important. And if you don't have insurance, you'll be yeah, it'll be bad. Just make sure you have your insurance. But like yeah, yeah, that's how it. But even after the insurance, they have like even the deductible amount not is not exactly a small amount. A deductible is okay. Okay, I didn't know what deductible was until like day before yesterday. So wait, okay, if I'm not like okay, to correct me if I'm wrong, but like deductibles amount is like is the amount that you have to pay before your insurance starts to claim everything. So if my deductible amount is like $250, I'll have to pay $250 off the bill. Okay, it doesn't have to be one bill, but like combine at the course of whatever time I have the insurance, I have to pay $250 in total. And after I pay $250, everything else is covered by the insurance. So even pay, you still have to pay $250. So but that's better than that. That's a lot better than paying $3,000. So yeah, grateful for that.
Yeah, for sure. Again, talking about something still connected to this but different, but what I would say, okay, so I'll mention your guys' process of applying to US. I know that Yash and Hetvi were thinking of renting out a house in US instead of staying in the university dorms. So they were planning to live off campus instead of on campus. But eventually they decided to live on campus. So like, I want to talk specifically about having a roommate. How big of a difference does it make? Because clearly in these situations, even like Danish mentioned, having a support of a roommate helps you in emergency situations, like if you have some kind of an ache or an illness at a late hour, 3 a.m., or if you want someone to even support you or be there as a friend with you. Roommate seems like a very wise decision, having a roommate. What do you guys think?
Well, I do think having a roommate is really good because, like, many different reasons. Like, you have a friend all along, you build a bond throughout the years. And like one incident that happened with us was like it was I guess around 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. something in the night. Then I was in my room doing nothing, and then my roommate, he like comes out of his room, comes banging on my door. Danish, come out fast, come out fast. Like, okay, what happened? And he's like, there's an insect in my room. I'm like, why? But then small things like this, you build a bond over time, and then it's fun having someone to talk to.
What do you think, Yash? He doesn't have a roommate. He's
Yeah.
enjoying his life in a
Okay, so
four-person
yeah,
suite.
I don't have a roommate as of now, so I can't talk about what it's like having a roommate because I've not experienced that. But I think I think it's a good shift because I grew up in a joint family and I always like lived with a lot of like it was basically I always had I can't technically always shared a room with because I have two older siblings, so always shared a room. So this is kind of a good shift to like maybe live like have an experience of living on your own for once. So it's a new experience, so that's what counts. And
Good shift. He didn't like living with his siblings or sharing a room with them. Okay. We
it's
have it
just, I
on
think we
tape
just have
now.
we just have it common through all of us. We like having more space because our room was well, it was pretty small for three people. So our room was pretty small for three people. So as we grew up, we wanted more space naturally. So I think it's just like everyone likes it now because they have more space. I have more space. Everyone lives alone in like separate rooms, so they all like it. But yeah, I think in future if I have a roommate, that'll be. different experiences. We'll find out how that goes, but I don't think it should be that bad.
Yash
If
is
it,
not keen on having a roommate anytime soon.
I mean, yeah, I mean, let's see. I don't know. It depends on who it is. Okay. To be fair, I had a roommate for 3 days when I came to the US because I was in temporary housing. So I had a roommate for 3 days. He was pretty nice, to be honest. If I had, like, even if I had to live with him for like take permanent, for a permanent time, like I think it would not be that bad. He was pretty nice. So I think it depends a lot on whom you're roommate with. But yeah, it definitely is a big shift. You have a lot more space if you don't have a roommate. I like it right now. So I don't plan to have a roommate anytime soon. Yeah.
So, I mean, we spoke a lot about medical fiascos. Anything else anyone wants to add? Any tip you have for the ones watching the or listening to this podcast? Any of you guys?
One tip I have for people coming to China is really cheap. Bring more clothes than stuff. You can buy things from here.
China is cheap. I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Like comparative to India, as in like it's not like that cheap. But then if you want some products like electronics and all, yes, it's cheaper here. Or like simple things if you want in bulk, tissue. If like simple things like tissue, bread, all of that is more expensive. But then the other useful things like hangers, clips, or pens, books, they all are cheaper here rather than in India.
Okay.
And weight is also an issue. That's why I just buy from here.
Any do's and don'ts for your health related things?
Be more proactive. I made the mistake of being like, it's just cramps. No, it's not. Um, Make sure that you take the right steps. Make sure that you listen to your primary care doctors, to whoever you're consulting, and don't think that इससे मुझसे पैसे बनाना है मैं नहीं जाने वाली. Um, so make sure that you're doing the right thing. Make sure that you're keeping everything in mind before you make a decision, because with medical care in the US, it's not easy, it's not cheap. Everything here is tentatively more expensive. Whether that be Target, whether that be Starbucks, both of which have a chokehold on me. So make sure that you bring only essentials. Like I brought random junk that I had since second grade, thinking it's sentimental. No, it's just junk. You don't need it. Make sure you carry only what you need, and make sure that you have a few souvenirs or things that remind you of home, but not a lot. And also with regards to the medical thing, just listen to whoever's consulting you, because they're probably right. नहीं बनाने उनको तुमसे इतने भी पैसे.
Yeah, adding on to what she said, completely right. Like, have preventive care because for me, if I had been to the doctor earlier and maybe like taken my medicines and maybe done what he said, the primary care doctor, I would have not ended up in a emergency room with costing a lot more and paying a lot more. So if I had just been there earlier, that would have helped. So just go there. You'll probably have insurance, and they probably have adjustment if you're a student. They'll reduce the cost, and plus you have insurance. So don't be worried. It's not it's not worth going through that and then making it worse for yourself to the point where it gets critical. So don't do that. Definitely. And yeah, com definitely bring essentials. Completely agree with her that you need them.
Yeah,
Like
so
rest.
don't ignore the small things going on with your body. Although there's a silver lining, if you ask me, you kind of cross that bucket list task of yours of calling 911 at
That
3
was
or 4
not
a.m.
on my bucket list coming to the US. I don't know what bucket list you have going on for you, but not me.
Yeah, yeah, well, you probably rethink your bucket list if you have that on that. Calling 911. I mean, speaking of carrying essentials, I remember I gifted each one of you something as a parting gift. I couldn't give Danish We couldn't meet on the last day, so his T-shirt is still with me. I gave Happy a manga, Promise Neverland. I still don't know if she read it or not. And
No,
I've heard that she was overweight with her stuff on the airport, so I'm doubting if she dropped it out or not.
no. I have it, but I haven't read it because I have a lot of books with me, but I haven't gotten around to reading them just because everything else is on my plate right now. But I will read it in this due course of the next spring semester. I will read it.
Yeah, just so the people who don't know that manga is like a Japanese comic and it only takes like 15 to 20 minutes to flip through one. And I gave her the manga for her flight, which was in total 9 to 10 hours.
18 hours.
But she has a lot on her plate, so
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
she'll
wait,
probably go.
that's so unfair.
Yeah, yeah,
That's, you're painting this
I
out to be
mean,
so
okay,
different.
to be fair, you have to be in a mindset to read. So it's like even if you have time, it's about being in a mindset to read. So it's like even if you have like
Yeah,
even if like 24 hours, it's not doesn't mean that you'll be in the mindset to read. So that means okay, I'm not someone who reads, but I feel like even from what I've read, I think you have
Hetvi
to.
someone who reads, yeah? Yeah, Hetvi someone who reads, an avid reader. If it wasn't clear
yes.
through, yeah, please go ahead.
I do like reading books. Danish is having
Yeah.
way too much fun with this.
Yeah, this is like
But
yeah, this is
Danish kind of agrees with me. Yeah, he's
Yes,
supporting me
man. Who can't spend 15-20 minutes? Come on.
on the airplane.
it
Yeah.
isn't about
You don't even have your master's, sorry, your major decided yet. Come on, yeah. We
exactly. That means I have more to do. That means
that's
I
what.
Okay, so
Wait. You
that
just
that
have
go- this heated conversation will be continued in another episode where,
yeah,
it's
this
where
not
we'll dig
personal.
deeper
I've
through.
never read mangas before, and to be fair, I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
gotten around.
Enough with the excuses.
You
Okay.
say that as a person with a very colorful bookshelf, none of which have been touched,
oh yeah,
none of
that's
which
true.
have
You've
been
never read a
once.
book.
I don't claim to be a reader.
Neither.
I'll say it
What do you
out
mean I don't
loud.
claim to be a
I
reader?
like to keep books with good cover pages on my shelf.
Wow.
I think it's nice to have a decorated bookshelf.
Yeah,
Wow.
Anyways,
oh
we'll
yeah, all of
continue
this will go
this
in spoiler, like basically.
banter in another episode where
Yes.
we discuss how much you should, as a student, have on your plate, how difficult your life at university is, how busy you are that you can't read a 15-minute manga in a 9 hour
Okay, let's not
flight.
keep doing this.
Well, I hope the listeners and the viewers got to take away something from this conversation, whether if you're thinking of living in the US or China and you have doubts like if I get a fever, what will I do or how will the situation look like? Perhaps this conversation added to it. And this was the very first episode of Jetspray to Toilet Paper. Explaining on a name, Okay, we should have done that first. The way Jetspray to Toilet Paper came about, I would hope that you saw it in one of our trailers. But we were randomly discussing how US or China didn't have jet sprays to clean your
Booty.
butts after you're done with your business every morning. And that every morning you're reminded that you're not in India or your home country. And from jet spray you transition to toilet paper. So that was kind of the main funny hook to our podcast. Yep. So that was the first episode of Jet Straight to Toilet Paper. Feel free to share this with any of your friends. Like, share, subscribe, the usual YouTube thing. I haven't done this since 2017. More on that in the next.
This video about me and my friend.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll put a link to that. Wait, we'll put a link to that if it's available.
I don't think it is. I hope to God it's not
It's not.
What's
It's
not
not.
available
that video that you
It's
made.
not. It's not.
Thank God. Okay.
on
But
my
yeah,
channel? No, I
yeah, but
deleted
we
all.
actually it'd be more for Ranveer than it'd be for you. So
Yeah. Thank you for watching
see you in the next
or
video, guys.
listening.
Oh yeah, either way, see you in the next video.
Bye.